Dragon Quest I is one of the most compelling games I have ever played, and there is not much to it. No, seriously, battles are 1v1 encounters, and you don't have any customization either. This isn't the game with the funny smash or pass animals. No, this is Dragon Quest I. You have one character with semi-random stat progression, fixed skill progression, hardly any story or plot. What I'm saying is, this is some lean beef. Slap it. Go ahead. Slap that beef. Please! So why is this seemingly super dumbed down RPG so compelling to play even today? Reason number 1, simple maths and a crippling gambling addiction. I love watching big old numbers. They're so damn flashy. Damn, Disgaea. But Dragon Quest I's numbers are pretty dang small in every regard, not just stats. There's one party member, you fight one enemy at a time, you have small inventory space, tiny stat numbers, your max HP can only get up to, I think 190? You can only get up to level 30. That's how long I'm gonna live if I keep making love to the electrical socket. The most damage you may ever do is like 150 points to HP. What does this mean in practice? It means that numbers are way more meaningful. Let's say you have 10 apples and I take one. You've lost 1/10 of your apples. Okay, if you have 2 apples and I take 1 apple, that's disrespect. You gonna take that? Small numbers means each action is big. Big numbers, for whatever reason, usually result in incremental differences. I don't know why, that's just how things tend to end up. Now let's add a roll of the dice. If you have 4 party members fighting 8 enemies with some big numbers and damage rolls, just about everything will average out before the turn ends. If you're one-on-one with 25 HP, 6 MP, and each heal costs 3 MP, and the next hit could either kill the enemy or let them get in another hit, which could also be a low roll or a high roll, and my stores of Play-Doh are running out, I'm still hungry, that's the difference between dying in this dungeon and getting out with your loot. Looks like I leveled up. The narrator in the OG Dragon Warrior will read out each stat increase one by one. This is something I think they should have kept for every version of this game. As they're read out, your anticipation is so high because these numbers mean so much. Stat increases usually range from nothing to 10-15 points in only 5 areas. Max HP, max MP, strength, defense, and speed. Defense and speed are called resilience and response, respectively. Like, let me tell you how much this stuff means something, okay? If I were to get a level up to 5 points in HP and nothing else, that's still huge. If an enemy can hit me 3 times before I have to heal versus 4, how much MP do you think I'm saving, and how much farther can I explore? How much money do you think I'll save from not dying as often? Oh, by the way, you lose half your gold every time you die. And how much will that speed up my progression now that I can buy better equipment and more healing items? Now add in 4 more game-changing stats? It's over, man. Just go to bed. So you watch your stats get read out one by one, and the anticipation lights a fire in that beautiful bulbous belly of yours. That's the magic of this game. Reason number 2, progression is a tease. I'm getting a little stiffy, a little chub. This super simple game has one of the most simply presented, but pretty sophisticated forms of progression, other than stats and equipment. I'm talking about the quest. The Dragon Quest. Here's how it works. There's map progression, where you're level gated, information progression, where you hear about an important thing, encounter progression, where you come across the important thing, but may not be able to acquire it or access it, and finally, obtaining progression, where you finally obtain the thing. I'm gonna do a quick walkthrough of the game, but watch these graphs. The king says, save a daughter, kill the dragon lord, talk to the guards. You obtain a key, you open a door. There are more doors like this, but you have no more keys. That's odd. You leave the castle, you can see the final dungeon, but you can't go there. You go north. Your stupid dead ancestor tells you to find these 3 important items to get a 4th important item. You head west, you get bleeded. You head east, and it's okay, but not too far east. Then north. Then a guy tells you to kick rocks.
Psst. He wants you to trade a 5th important item to get one of those 3 important items.
You give him the finger, but now you're leveled up. You head west again, and it ain't so bad. You find another locked door. You buy equipment. You head south, but not too far south, or else you get bleeded. You go into a cave. You battle. You get money. You get items. You get levels. You get equipment. Hey, maybe I can head farther west again. There's a cave with poison. You go into the cave. A too tough monster is guarding something. You simply exit out of the other end of the cave. You go into a town. You hear about a fairy flute. You can buy keys here? You go south. You get bleeded. You go north, you get a fairy flute, which puts enemies to sleep. Go back to the castle. You open one of those doors, you get one of those important items. You go to that town with a locked door, you go into the cave, you battle, you level up. One of those important items is here too. You're stronger now. You head south, there's a town, but it's overrun. You head east, town's blocked by a golem. You put it to sleep and bleed it. You hear about a special item in that overrun town, and some guy gives you coordinates to something? You're not gonna count all your steps, are you? You go to the overrun town, you find where the secret quest item is, but there's a guy blocking it, so you get bleeded. But hey, there was that other monster blocking off something else in that cave, so you're probably strong enough to go fight him now, right? So you go and you bleed him, and it turns out there's the princess. What? She can tell you your coordinates from the castle? You follow them to a huge damage swamp. Screw that. Let's go to the overrun town. I'm probably strong enough now. You bleed the monster. You get the best armor in the game that lets you walk over damage tiles? You go to the damage swamp. You get the third important item. You go back to that guy that told you to kick rocks, and you trade that important item for another necessary item, and trade it for a fourth special item down here, right there in the map, the place where you got bleeded before. And now you can finally like, comment, and subscribe, and share this with all your Dragon Quest loving friends. I love Dragon Quest. That's you and your friends kissing Dragon Quest. Join the Dragon Lord. He called me babe. How am I going to tell him no? Wow, what a crazy game that was. So insightful. The pattern here is similar to reveals in a blockbuster. I think I read this in a John Truby book. Reveals in movies are sparse at first and are sort of impactful, and as they go on, they become more frequent, more impactful, and more immediate. This is exactly what's happening here. How many things do you hear about before you encounter them? And how many things do you encounter before you obtain them? In fact, how many things do you encounter before you even really know their significance? I'm looking at you, locked doors. Things are withheld from the player before they can get them. The novelty of the game is still fresh with leveling and exploring at first, and the drip feed of information and encounters can sustain interest. Eventually, you get a huge payoff in the form of the keys, almost halfway through the game, and that's when everything falls into place. It's hit after hit after hit of success. Who cares about making payments for rent this month? You're playing Dragon Quest. You're essentially a pendulum that gains momentum as they go back and forth. You carve your path farther and farther in each direction every time you swing back, and it's satisfying, incremental, but huge. There's a third thing. Spells. Learning spells is also its own little form of eureka each time you get a new one. You gain spells by reaching certain levels. First spell you learn is heal. Now before that, your mileage in terms of how far you can explore and what enemies you can fight are limited to your wallet, inventory, and your HP. How much do you have to spend on healing herbs? You can only hold 6. You and the enemy are going to whittle away at each other's health until one of you dies, and it's going to be you who dies. Now, with the healing spell, you don't have to spend money on herbs, you save inventory space, you can out-damage enemies that were out-damaging you, and you can explore farther. You can save money and buy equipment, and this is better in the long run, because equipment isn't consumable. You keep it for as long as you want. Now you have more places to explore, and you can level up faster, because you're not always running back to town. The risk of you losing half of your gold is now mitigated, because you can reclaim your HP. Oh, the hurt spell, or fireball. Now I can damage enemies that are resistant to physical attacks. Sweet! Stop spell. Now I can stop enemies from using their spells, meaning that they'll waste turns every time they try to heal or hurt me or put me to sleep. Return. Now I can simply go back to the starting castle and get my HP and MP back for free without having to walk all the way back there. I no longer have to estimate if I have enough MP and HP to make it back, meaning I don't have to cut my exploration short. I can go farther now. Same with the spell outside. Hey look, I don't have to backtrack out of a dungeon once I'm done there or if I need to get out right away. I don't have to guess whether or not I have enough MP and HP to make it out of the dungeon. Heal more? More like peel more, because guess what? I can peel these dang ass enemies all I want to. Look, this enemy can damage me for more than I can heal with the normal heal spell, but now with heal more, I'm able to destroy them. I'm able to bleed them and get the magic armor. Hey! Again, incremental but game-changing. These spells' utilities are non-trivial. Everything feels important, and you only get a few spells. The key takeaway here is pacing. This game has masterful pacing, not the NES version, in all forms of its progression. Levels, quests, exploration, abilities, all of which compound to not only create a greater sum, but to give the player those eureka moments. It's much stronger than a drip feed of dopamine with occasional endorphins. These lessons I'll try to put to good use in my game. That's right, this isn't just a video essay or a list or whatever. This is the first devlog for my upcoming game, Project Divorce the Princess. Stay tuned.